15 players on your roster and 2 guys that supposed to be able to get it done, 2 supposed to be great perimeter defenders, and they both did not show up in Game 7. You have to worry about that, and you have to worry about the future of the Clippers right now because as much as Paul George said they didn't want to lock in for this year, they gave up valuable assets for you to join this team. They didn't get it so you can build for 4 or 5 years. Kawhi Leonard signed for 3 years, well, technically only 2 years, and 1 is a player option to be if he could be a free agent again. So you guys wanted to win this year. This team was built for that. And not to talk about the host of free agents that you got coming up. That's this summer. Montez Harrell. Obviously, Morris is going to be a free agent. Patrick Patterson. And Patrick Patterson. So you got valuable pieces that's not going to be a part of your team because they can actually get, they can make some money this winter, this fall, whenever the free agency starts.
Well, Antoine, the post-game quotes were an outrage, an utter and total outrage, and affront to anyone that's been paying attention. Start with Paul George, the one we said. We never viewed it was championship or bust. Your opening press conference back in your opening press conference and right before the bubble started, June of 2020, you said we view this as a championship season. You traded away a young core piece in SGA, 6 future first-round picks for guys who signed 2-year contracts. Of course it was championship or bust. Certainly wasn't to get 1 round further than you got last year when you had no all-stars on your roster by the time the playoffs rolled around. That's the first quote that was outrageous. Doc Rivers saying we never really got our chemistry to it. Well, hey, Doc, that's what the money's for as a head coach. That's where you might have to tell your star players, no, I'm not giving you a day off before Halloween hits. And you got anonymous Clippers or people, either coaches or players, saying to Mark Spears after the game they didn't have their wind, that they were exhausted. You were the most rested team ever. There was a 4-month break during the season. The hell are you talking about? And this idea, listen, Doc says after the game, Brandon, it's the chemistry issue. It's first year together. You were up 15 points in Game 5 in the second half, 19 points in Game 6 in the second half, and 7 points in Game 7 in the second half. You can't blame it on chemistry when you just folded at the end of these games. The quotes are ridiculous. The revisionist history is ridiculous. And the only thing more ridiculous than those, Brandon, is their approach all year, which is that of a defending champ, that of a dynastic team when they ain't won a damn thing. That you don't always get what you deserve in life, but this Clippers team, Brandon, got exactly what they deserved.
Yeah, Nick, I share that outrage, buddy, as a former player. And Tuan, maybe you can speak to this a little bit differently than I can because you're a basketball player. And sometimes the personalities are a little different. But when you don't want to hear this coming out of Paul George's mouth. Like, what do you mean this wasn't a championship year or this wasn't championship or bust? When you look around as a player, you're like, oh, the Golden State Warriors, they're depleted. And then you look around, you say, oh, the Lakers, they're in the same boat as us. They're trying to build chemistry, so that's out of the window. And then you go over to the East, and all I hear from all these experts in the NBA is the East is weak. So when you think about it, if you really make it out of the West, you're the champion. So I don't understand this mindset. I don't understand this mentality. So, Toy, maybe you can speak to it a little bit differently than me because you won some championships. You've been able to be the top dog on one team and then a role player on another when you played with Shaq and D. Wade and you had to figure out how to fit in and built that chemistry. So I don't understand this coming from Paul George's mouth.
Well, that's a great point, Brandon. And I think where he's wrong at is I look at 2 teams that put teams together to win championships, the Lakers and the Clippers. And I was a part of a team just like both of these teams. When you think about the team when we won it in 2006, myself, James Posey, Gary Payton, Jason Williams, we all joined Shaq, D. Wade, and Udonis. And the whole goal was to win a championship. Wasn't about regular season. We didn't have a great regular season. We won 52 games. We was a 2 seed. We didn't have the greatest season of anybody in the league. We didn't win 65 games, but the goal was to win a championship. And that's what we focused in on. Everybody sacrificed to do what they need to do to be ready come playoff time to win a championship. If you look at this Clippers team, it was not that type of focus. All season long was about making sure Kawhi Leonard gets his rest. Then obviously we had the pandemic. They go in the bubble. Lou Williams. You have all these different distractions on this team throughout. And if I'm not mistaken, they were actually one of the teams that did not want to play possibly. So you got to think about where their head was at about winning the championship. It's very difficult to win a championship if all 15 guys do not buy in. And this team did not buy in. And it starts from up top. It starts from Doc Rivers. I played for Stan Van Gundy. He coached us 20 games. Pat Riley came down after we were 10-10 start and said, you're not going to be the coach for this team. I got to get some discipline on this team. He came in and put the hammer down on us. It wasn't pretty, but it led to a championship. That's the same thing that could have happened for the Clippers. Wow. I'm not saying they could have beat the Lakers, but you have to take that approach when you're talking about winning the championship. And they didn't have a championship mentality. And I don't see how it's going to change overnight.
So Antoine, are you saying, we know that Steve Ballmer and Doc have a very close relationship. Are you saying that relationship could be fractured because of this loss, that you would move on from Doc?
Well, I'm going to put it like this. I saw Nate McMillan get fired. I saw Brent Brown get fired. I saw Mike D'Antoni not get picked up. Those coaches they underachieve. Doc Rivers has underachieved for the Los Angeles Clippers. They have not been to a Western Conference Finals. They've had a ton of talent. I know they've had some couple injuries in the past, but they've had a ton of talent, and he hasn't got over the hump. Obviously, he's a championship coach. He's well-respected in the league, but it's just like every other coach. He has not got over the hump, and they haven't had the same talent. So you got to start from the top and work your way down. You can't continue to give him an excuse.
Listen, everyone respects Doc as a man, but the resume is getting really rough. There is a great clip floating around Twitter this morning of Phil Jackson in the NBA Finals in 2010, a series Doc didn't lead 3-2, or didn't lead 3-1, but did lead 3-2 and ended up losing. Of Phil Jackson saying to the Lakers, this team knows how to lose. They know how to blow fourth quarter leads. That team was coached by Doc Rivers. Tracy McGrady up 3-1 in, 05, 03 it was. They lose that series, coached by Doc. Famously, obviously, CP3 and Blake in 2015 against a good but far from great Rockets team. They blow a 3-1 lead. Now this team blows a 3-1 lead. Doc Rivers has lost 8 Game 7s in his career. No one else has lost more than 5. His record in series clinching games is an impossible 14-27, the worst in league history by a mile. Wow. It is possible that while Doc Rivers is beloved and respected, that there is something that happens to his teams, no matter what team he's coaching, unless Kevin Garnett is there to save the day, that in the biggest spots, they fold. Because, Jenna, I don't know how many people noticed it last night, but I was confident in the Nuggets all series. But the moment I knew they were going to win was when I saw Reggie Jackson check into the game in the third quarter. And I said, oh, okay, they've panicked. Like, that's Reggie Jackson's music. They panicked, and they had no answers throughout the series. That's on the coach, Jenna.
And by the way, Lou Williams after the game said, hey, I know we had the talent.